Good afternoon, good evening. Cruising with AB, the gun lubrication edition. Any of you that have owned firearms and had the lovely job of cleaning them know that all these cleaning products can be very expensive. Whether you use a high dollar item, I kind of call those sometimes as seen on TV. It's meant to catch it's like the ones for fishing. It's for catching the fishermen, not the fish. Now, I'm not saying that they don't work, but growing up, man, that's what we use. We use what your parents taught you, or friends or relatives, what you need to use to clean a firearm. And that was me. I would have a bottle of the solvent called Hoppies number 9, and that was, everybody had that. Everybody had a bottle of that stuff. And then you had some kind of gun oil that you used, and that was it. You run some patches, or you might have to run a bore brush down your barrel, and put a little light coat of oil on the outside of your firearm after you've been handling it, and you put it away. Well, these days, they've got all these competitions, and people are shooting hundreds and hundreds of rounds a day, and for these people, man, it's expensive for them to go and shoot all these rounds and then be constantly cleaning their firearm, maybe once or twice, or re-lubing them once or twice during the competition, and that stuff adds up. There's all kinds of lubricants out there, and CLPs. They clean, lube, and protect. I guess that's what that stands for. And you've got all the different types of your oils. You've got Pro 7 and Rim Oil and all kinds of stuff. And I've always wondered, before I was even on YouTube, that if worse came to worse, what kind of oil could you use? And sure, just regular old motor oil will work, and it does. Transmission fluid will work, and I'm sure there's some other oils out there, but just everybody's on I see online on YouTube, everybody's, it's got to be synthetic. It's got to be synthetic. I tell you what, if your gun is dry, you're going to grab whatever's there and use it to lubricate your firearm. And I don't shoot that often, so it doesn't really affect me like it affects those guys, as far as having a cost-effective way of keeping your firearms lubricated. I can say that I shoot a little more than I used to, but I'm really kind of tired of spending $15 for 4 ounces of CLP or some name brand gun oil. So I did a little research, of course, on YouTube, and there's all kinds of concoctions out there, and you guys can go and check them out if you want. But there's a concoction called Ed's Red, and it is a combination of mineral spirits, acetone, automatic transmission fluid, and synthetic motor oil, maybe a 5W20. And I might be wrong. Maybe it doesn't have any motor oil in it. I can't remember. You'll have to go and get the recipe yourself if you want to make it. But that makes like one of these CLPs, where not only will clean, but it'll help break down whatever kind of fouling that you might have in your barrel. And then it's supposed to have a lasting lubricant. So it's just a one and done thing. And I've got enough hoppies right now that'll probably last me for the rest of my life. I've got probably about 3 or 4 bottles of that stuff. So I don't plan on making that. But my gun oil, I watched a video, and I've watched several of them, and I decided that I was going to make my own. And it's, again, it's synthetic motor oil. 5W, it could be a 0W20, 0W30. All depends on what conditions that you guys live in. Y'all live in the desert or something. Well, maybe a 5W20 when you do most of your shooting. You know, something a little bit thicker. I mean, if you live in the colder regions of the United States, well, maybe a 0W. And then they say to get a ball of, let's see here. Oh, sorry. Could be a, oh, excuse me, just one second. So it's 5W30 is what I used. Sorry, I had something in my throat. 5W30 and grease. I used some Lucas, I believe it was Lucas oil, wheel bearing grease. I had it in my my little wheel bearing grease gun, and I poured some oil in a cup and started adding grease. And you make it, you can either add or delete, but what you want is you want a consistency like honey. And then you can put that in a little squirt bottle with a nozzle on it, and you get it just the consistency of honey. You add enough oil in that grease to where it just drips off your finger really slow. And that's what I made. So I made 5W synthetic, 5W, I think it was 5W20, and then the Lucas oil wheel bearing grease. Yeah, I guess any high temperature wheel bearing grease will work. And you can apply it however you want to apply. You can drip it on something and then just let it kind of seep through, or maybe put it on the end of a Q-tip and push it around to the areas where you need to get it. And so I think that's going to be my go-to from now on. I'm not going to buy these expensive oils, and all this stuff I had laying around in my garage. Didn't have to go make a special trip. Again, as far as cleaning products, I do like hops. Number 9, it's just been my standard go-to solvent. Kind of like the way it smells. I don't know, maybe it's just something in your brain that clicks whenever you smell it. It's got that gun cleaning smell. You know you're cleaning your gun if you smell hoppies. And I'll go out and I'll test it out in the field. And one of the biggest things about a gun oil is that you put it on a firearm and then you go put it in your closet or your gun safe, and it may sit there for, sometimes I've got some in my safe right now that I haven't shot in years. Periodically you need to pull those out, check them out. I don't think that stuff disappears is on your firearm. And is it all gummy? Is it still kind of slick? Because that's important. And of course, you never want to put a thick layer of anything in your bore and store it. I mean, if I store a firearm and I know I'm not going to shoot it for a while, I will clean the bore with hoppies. I'll get all of that solvent out of there with some dry patches, and then I will put a patch on with a light coating of oil, and I'll run it up and down the bore a couple of times, and then I will take a dry patch and I will push it through the bore. I'm removing whatever kind of big accumulation I had on the first patch, but there's still a coating of oil on the inside of the bore. And of course, when you guys go out to the range, or ladies, you go out to the range, always check the bore of your barrel to make sure that there's not an obstruction. Maybe run a dry patch through it, just for good measure. I mean, you never know, depending upon where you live, or maybe a bug crawled in there and made a nest or something. But that's what I've done. That's my new little thing. I've got a couple of bottles of this motor oil and wheel bearing grease, made to the consistency of honey, and I think that's all you need. Should protect it. I mean, even I had a excuse me, I had a can of marine wheel bearing grease too. It was green color, and that might have been a little bit better, because this stuff, that Lucas grease, is red, and so the oil is, the mixture of the motor oil and grease is red, and you can't really tell when you put it on your firearm. It's not like this thing that just stands out at you. Wow, look at all that grease on there. You don't need a lot. You just need enough to coat the shiny metal surfaces. That's what you want to coat. And if you just want to just coat whatever kind of part of the metal that doesn't touch surfaces to keep it from rusting, sure. And for putting away your firearm, oh my gosh, big wreck up here. Something. If you got a little ball of mineral oil, the stuff you take when you get constipated, mineral oil, and then you get a good cloth rag, and you drizzle some of that mineral oil on it, and then move it around, just saturate that, then put it in a Ziploc bag. Before you put away your firearm, you can rub your barrel and receiver, and if you get it on the wood, I don't believe it's going to hurt it before you put it away. Because every time you touch your firearm with your fingers, you've got moisture on your fingers, which could possibly end up rusting metal parts. But that is my, procedure when I do that kind of firearm cleaning. I just thought I would share that with you guys. You have a great Labor Day weekend. See ya.